So we're going to talk a little bit about our color theory shooting assignment today. And you should, at this point, at least have some background ideas about, about color theory, about which colors work together, about the primaries and the tertiary colors, and what is analogous and warm and cool and simultaneous contrast. And you should have explored all of Itten's types of contrast. And so what we're going to start to do is actually go out and do some shooting. And we're going to approach our shooting in a couple of different ways. So you're going to actually be downloading two different apps that will kind of help facilitate our shooting. One is going to be an app called Capture. It's made by Adobe. So you'll just go to your app store. It's a free download for Adobe Capture. And then the second one is one called Adobe Photoshop Express. And this one we're going to use to kind of create a little collage of images as well. So we're going to approach it in a kind of a couple of different ways. And so go get those two apps. I'll put links down in the bottom in our canvas so that you can click on those as well, so you make sure you're getting the right one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of jump in. I'll give you a quick tutorial about how each of those applications work. And then the other thing I want to do is just explain really quick what you're actually going to be shooting. So for the Adobe Capture, what we're going to be doing is what I want you to go out and photograph are Itten's contrasts. So I want you to think about each of those individual ones. So you'll be looking at things like contrast of light and dark, and contrast of hue, and contrast of warm and cool, those sort of things, right? So you'll want to create an image that uses a color palette that is going to capture that contrast that Itten's described. And so what you'll be able to do is inside of Capture, though, is I also want to be able to kind of isolate those colors. So it has this cool way of like picking out picture or colors inside of your picture, and then also displaying the actual color makeup of those. So you can kind of see the palette that you're creating with those. And that way we can see, is there a lot of contrast in them, or is it, fairly limited and a little more analogous, right? So I'll show you kind of how that one works. And then the other one is I want you to shoot some pictures that use a single type of color. It doesn't have to be completely monochromatic, but fairly analogous. And then what you'll be doing is building out some boards or some collages with pictures of similar hue. And then we'll kind of group those together. So those are kind of the two assignments that we'll be doing. And so let me jump in there and I'll show you how those are going to work. All right, so here we are on the phone. Let's just jump in. Let's see, I think I've got them already installed over here. All right, so I've got several of the Adobe apps, and not all of them are even in here. So the first one we want to look at is Adobe Capture. And Adobe Capture has lots of things it can do. So, let's start over here at the far side. So the first one is this thing called material. So it actually can like apply a texture and things onto these different shapes. We're not going to be needing that one. It can identify text. What we want to do is actually the one here that says colors. And so notice as I start to change what I'm pointing my camera at, it will start to look at, different color palettes, right? It's seeing things down in here and things over there, and it's grouping them together, right? And then if I want, I can also just, once I find a color palette that I'm happy with, that's giving me, a range of different values, then I can go ahead and I can take a picture, right? I can just go in and just hit snap, and then that will then take a picture of that, and then it gives me my swatches. I can also still look at the colors like inside the image, so it'll lay it on top of there. Or I also have an option of clicking on Harmonies, which shows me within our color wheel what those saturations are and what the spread is. So you can see, these two are fairly contrasting hues, right? Because we've got some blues on this side and a lot of warm colors from the flannel that are over there, right? For posting, as far as posting goes, you could always do a screenshot of that as well, just to help keep in mind if I'm trying to create one of Itten's contrasts, I can then also be looking up here and seeing, am I getting that range that I wanted? Am I getting that the contrast that I'm looking for? You also have options to switch to your front-facing camera, or you can also bring in a photo. So if I wanted to instead, if I went out and just did all of my shooting, but later I wanted to get something, with those palettes on there, then I could go in and I could go inside of my camera roll and I could just look at, let's say, selfies, and I could just grab something like this. And so it's then, again, it's doing those palettes for me. If I wanted to save it just the way that this is, the easiest thing is probably just take a screenshot, and then that way I've got that range of palettes. So we can kind of look at those colors, and kind of isolate them from our overall image. Okay, so that's one thing that Capture can do. A couple of other cool things with Capture. And then there's this one called Patterns, which I think is pretty cool. And it does like a kaleidoscope sort of an effect. So you can kind of create all sorts of interesting patterns and shapes. And it's basically looking at this little section here. So mostly we'll just be focused on, if you wanted to do things like this, you could kind of play around with those other patterns. Otherwise, really we'll be using it for this colors one so that we can get that palette, because I want you to have those solid colors at the top to kind of show us what colors are in our overall photo. So that's how that one works. And then the other one is Photoshop Express. And so with Photoshop Express, what I want you to do is to create a little collage of a specific color or a hue, or very close to the same hue. So when you get in there, what I want you to do is in your shooting part, go out and create some images that are of a color, and just find different objects that are all blue or are all red or all orange or purple, whatever colors you're interested in. And then once you come in here, then you've got some options in the middle top section. So normally I could be inside of Edit, but I want you guys to work with this collage option. So it's in the middle top. And then you're going to look for your pictures of blue. So I'm going to say, okay, I want this one, and I'm going to go ahead and do this color theory one. And let's see if I scroll through here, maybe I grab something like, let's see what else is in here. Let's take maybe that photo. And then I think there's like some ocean ones down here. Let's see, here we go. Let's say maybe something like that. So then if I have those selected, I can just hit next, and then that will go ahead and start to build the collage for me. And then if I want to, I could rearrange, or if I click here, I can also, maybe I want the color theory part to come through, because that also has some of that blue. And, I can readjust each of these photos and, get more of the blue. Make sure I can maybe get a little more of the ocean there. Make sure this is as far over there, so we can include that picture and the little subtle blues, and that sort of thing. And then when you have all of your collage kind of built and you're ready to go, then you can just go ahead and export. And it's going to want to know, where's it going to go to? I'm just going to send mine straight to the camera roll. It also lets you put some other, things like watermarks and things like that on it. I'm just going to go ahead and hit straight to the camera roll, and then that way it'll save that collage for me. And so I want you to pick out maybe 5 colors that you really like the most. And as you're thinking about your shooting, go out and take pictures that are going to have those hues in them, and just find different random objects, and then that way you can put together a collage that is going to have some of those colors. Okay, so hopefully that helps, at least kind of explain how those two applications work. And again, they're free downloads from Adobe. So look forward to seeing what you guys are going to create with those. Okay, bye.